guys like this video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you guys are interested in a personal session, check out my website, ReadingsWithBree.com. And now if you guys are interested in some more exclusive content, I now have my Patreon, The Cosmic Circle, Readings with Bree, where you're going to dive into weekly crystal ball and tarot readings, to monthly Q&As, hypnosis recordings, tarot classes, and more. So if you guys want to be an exclusive member and join me on that journey, I'll put the link below. But thank you to each and every one of you for all your love and support. It truly means the world to me, and I just love you guys so very much. So let's dive into the topics for today. Hello, beautiful souls. How are you guys doing? I hope things are going fabulous over on your end and your journey. I'm excited to be back for a crystal ball and tarot reading. Now, this is quite interesting because, again, I haven't talked about this too much on my YouTube lately, but I have had a experience with a Lyran being that came in a few weeks before we went on our Egypt trip. And this is something I went through a little bit more extensively on my Patreon. But it's interesting because this guide, this energy that has come through, which is so powerful, continues to come through. And there are messages that are coming in since I've been back from Egypt that I wanted to share with you guys. So for the most part, this is just going to be a tarot reading and crystal ball reading with general messages coming in, but I have a few things I wanted to share on downloads that I got last night. So with that being said, lovely souls, there was, oh my goodness, where do I want to start with this? I'm going to start with this energy of just giving you a brief explanation of this Lyran guide, because this Lyran came in very powerful energy, but there was a lot of, impressions I received when it comes to what's happening to the collective. And what I was shown was the fusion of light and dark. And, I was given the example of the phoenix. If we look at the rising of the phoenix and the transmutation that's taking place for the collective consciousness. Now, fast forwarding to last night, it was interesting. I was getting some downloads, and there was sometimes I see things, sometimes I hear things, sometimes I get impressions, and there was two phrases that I heard. One was rare and one was 12V. And when I was looking into this, I didn't really understand what the rare was about. When I look at that 12V, I got this to do with the DNA, and that was also a connection that I was getting in Egypt with the DNA spirals that I seen after an amazing connection with Sekhmet. So very beautiful trip, you guys. It was a life-changing trip, and I expected it to be amazing. There was, of course, ups and downs, because I did get, unfortunately, pretty sick towards the end, and I missed some really amazing spots. But that being said, I did not anticipate the amount of physical adjustments and changes or recalibrations that was happening within my body. So there's still adjustments happening as we've been back here these past 5 days. And this message that came in, the rare and the 12V. The rare was not what I thought, because when I looked into it in a deeper sense, this Lyran came in very boldly, and it wasn't rare in the fact of R-A-R-E. It was R-A, as if the R-A is that primordial solar creative fire, and the R-E is a representation of the harmonic tone, or that echo, especially when it comes to completing the spirals. And together, that's that fire remembering itself. And all these things keep circling back into this fusion, the topic of fusion as well. And as always, you guys, I really do encourage you to use your own discernment. I'm sharing a perspective from intuitive downloads that I've got with this Lyran presence, okay? Because there are some interesting things that came in that I'm going to share, and it's in relation to this 12V and the rare statement that I heard. So what I was being shown is that 12 helix strands, but not necessarily in the way that we would see DNA in our textbooks. what I was shown was these 12 living vortexes, or kind of like toroidal vortex tubes that run through or around the body in a very specific the affinity sign, the affinity 8 pattern. And what I was seeing was that each vortex really, or voltage, carries like a prime harmonic, okay? And when we could look at the physical body circuits to also the emotional and astral circuits, and then also the mental causal circuits, and then the oversoul circuits as well. And what I was seeing is all these 12 voltages or vortexes spinning with full voltage. And that is that symbolism with that 12V. And that shows our body becoming like this walking stargate. So when we look at the collective consciousness and where things are calibrating right now, a lot of us are going through a really massive transmutation, just like the phoenix. So for some of you guys, things that you may physically experience or see, these are things that I've been experiencing myself, but one is like seeing that like electric blue flashes in the peripheral. That's something that I've seen. Also like feeling, when I was in Egypt, I had my back against the hieroglyphs and I could feel that the kundalini, but it's like this liquid gold spiraling, and hearing a lot of like high pitched like purring noises, or I would say high pitched sounds happening with my ears as well. So interesting enough, it's like there was a lot. I don't know if I've shared this story a couple times, so apologies if I've already shared this with you guys, but the night we came home from Egypt as well, I went for a bath, I went in bed, I collapsed, and I felt my entire body. I woke up because I thought it was an actual earthquake happening. My entire body was vibrating. The voltage felt so incredibly strong, and this happened through quite a few hours of the night. So that's another synchronicity that I was seeing when it comes to that 12V and these voltages or vortexes beginning to spin together in sequence. So I thought I would pull a few tarot cards. I thought we could do a tarot pull with this Lyran card that came out. Again, I wasn't planning on doing this video today, but I was trying to clean up my desk a little bit and I dropped a couple cards, and guess what was one of them that came flying out as well? The lion. And you guys, not only that, I was chatting with someone earlier and pulling a few cards, and I had a very specific card come out for that specific person as well. Like the synchronicities and the confirmations are off the chart. So I had to do a video after seeing that and feel like, let's see what messages are coming in from this Lyran guide. And on top of that, we were absolutely gonna use my feline cat deck for this. So looking to see spirit, and then I'll do a crystal ball gaze as well. Coming from our Lyran energies, what can you share? What messages do you have for the collective tuning in and watching this video? What do we need to know at this time? Three of Wands. Wow. All right, let me just again get this all in the picture for you guys. All right, so looking at the current situation as the Three of Wands, you guys, are showing the collective in a corridor of expansion. And what I see here is like us as the collective, we have already crossed through a certain threshold. And this is more about not necessarily waiting for those ships to come in, but this is scanning certain timelines. So our field is already creating options. I feel like the issue is the direction, not the opportunity here. Because when we look at the challenge is the Six of Swords. And that's difficulty transitioning, especially on the mental level, okay? This is the physical, feels like the physical grid, Mother Earth and Gaia is upgrading faster than the human body. or we can say human psychology, and people are trying to still carry these old thought forms because, again, swords is mental, it's the mind. So people are trying to still carry these old thought forms across the new river, and that's where a little bit of the challenge lies. So I want to say the collective's biggest blockage is the outdated mental frameworks. Okay, so it's really the body has shifted, it's just the mind has not fully caught up yet. Now when we look at the Emperor in reverse on what we need to focus on. Interesting here, we have a couple reversals. Originally I wasn't going to take them, but that's how they came out. So the Emperor in reverse is showing like the authority systems, the old structures, and having this in reverse is showing the unraveling of false kings, false commands. Look at that Emperor there with his crown on, and it is in reverse here. I do feel like this is also in connections again. I know I've said this multiple times, but a lot of connections with the Vatican and also the royal family. So this is those false kings and things to be aware of at this time. And I think a really important message to leave on that Emperor in reverse, you guys. I mean, I have said this before, but we need to, very, very important, stop looking for external authorities. There are no rulers, there are no kings, there are no governmental or institutions that are coming to save the day. Okay, this is looking at it that the new momentum moving forward is going to be built on sovereign individuals and not systems. Okay, so big message to pay attention to for what we need to focus on. If we look at the past energy, look at that King of Swords, and the King of Swords is all about the old era of logic, of dictatorship, of that mental masculine, the logistical way of thinking. Okay, and that is done with, like, we are so done and so tired. That timeline is dissolving, but people are still in that transition because also our strength is the 10 of Swords, and that's actually a really positive thing because it's that switch where we've hit that rock bottom energy, and it is a time, we've reached a time for a transition here. So I guess what I can say with the 10 of Swords in terms of our strength, with us leaving that past tyranny, the dictatorship, this is the people reaching a maximum tolerance for deception, for suppression, really for the stagnation and energetic intrusion that's really happened. Now, the collective is like done. It is done, and nothing can be built on that old death threshold because remember, Three of Swords, we've already crossed certain thresholds here, and this is going back, like I was seeing when I was connecting to the Lyron, and the energy that I'm also getting from the crystal ball, this is going back in 2012 as well. Certain thresholds and waves of crossing through thresholds throughout these last years here. Now, the near future here is the Hanged Man, but it is in reverse. So this is a pause and new perception that is going to lock into place here. And what I'm really hearing with the Hangman in reverse is the collective will start to soon see things that they could not see before. So this is showing like an inversion of the collapse and that veil flipping here. And again, when we look at the Queen of Wands as the advice, I'm not saying this in terms of like, men versus women energy, but there is that Queen of Wands, which is leadership on the feminine aspect. And I do see more a rise in female leaders, okay, and not in a dominance form, okay. This is a heart-centered energy, but the Queen of Wands and the advice here is also about speaking our truth without shrinking us down, without putting our own flame and our fire out. So it's holding that magnetism and that self-authority here. So what I can say for you guys is don't wait for permission. This is about moving and creating and inspiring and igniting that flame. So your personal fire is the collective's ignition, okay? I think a lot of people, they really want the, how can I say this? They don't like, I don't think a lot of people realize just within your own personal flame, you guys, how big of a difference it truly does make for the collective, for the people around you as well. And there's so much truth in there. Just your presence, your fire being lit can change and move mountains, okay? Now when we look at the environment, I love that the Empress is here. This is Mother Earth and Gaia. So when we look at the field and the collective, it is very fertile. And you know what's interesting? So like as I'm kind of gazing a little bit in the crystal ball too, I'm seeing like all these energetic, this could actually be it's like energetic rejuvenations flooding into the, I guess I can say, atmosphere, but it also around is all this lush greenery, all this birth and fertility. So I actually see this as not symbolic. I actually see a switch when it comes to Mother Earth and the field of nature. There's something about a rejuvenation within the soil and the fertility of the ground. So we are in this creation field, external card here, not a destruction field, okay? So manifestation here will be accelerated, and it's like there's this compression will be at its tightest as it's been in decades is what I'm hearing, okay? So use that energy, be a part of that energy, because a lot of fertile energy around us. Really, really beautiful placement with that Empress. Now, if we look at their hopes and fears, we have the Six of Pentacles here, and this is, I feel like on the fear-based level, people, again, being scared to take advantage of, or they think that there's not a fair exchange. There's too much fear given, and there's a big hope for balance. So many people are feeling completely depleted with the way the systems have failed them, from the governments to the institutions, from the people around them. There's a big, unfortunate sadness and sorrow about being let down. But this is also the card of community and coming together. So the collective, like the nervous system of the collective, is more about recalibrating worthiness and reciprocity and that energy exchange, okay? So very important. And then when we look at the outcome here, this the Nine of Wands is the resilience, okay? So this is not about a collapse or a defeat, but this is that push before a massive breakthrough. So we still, as a collective, from what I can share from my perspective, we still have a bunch of things to go through over these next even like 3 to 5 years. And that push, that threshold, is that I can say defense becomes our strength. And that will be more aligned with our purpose. And it's like that last gate before the door opens. So really this is about people standing their ground, okay? So with the outcome, there's still going to be a bit of time for recalibrations and things to really move forward in new aspects, but we are moving through these thresholds, okay, you guys? So I'll take a few minutes and see what other messages I can get from the crystal ball. All right, so the first thing that I'm seeing, you guys, is a doorway with no door. So what I'm really getting with this, you guys, is this is the threshold of reality. And a lot of us, too, remember the Six of Swords is in the challenge. People are looking over the horizons. We're crossing that threshold, but a lot of us are still trying to carry that old identity into the new, let's say, timeline. And energetically, with the split, with these energies and frequencies and these adjustments that are happening, You guys, we cannot carry that old self into the new. It can't happen. So what I'm seeing too is this is not symbolic. It is like a literal energetic shedding. Think of it as like this membrane composed of like stored reactions, traumas, unconscious habits. And all this karmic residue is needing to fall away. And it's not, it's just us. We're in a state of remembrance, knowing that, hey, we're not really any of these things that we've built up this mask around. So I'm seeing this energy of the membrane is what's keeping some people in that same looping pattern. But once somebody sheds that, it's not like there's years and years of stuff they have to do. Once they bring awareness, surrender, and shed that old identity, they instantly enter a new timeline begins, a new version of them begins, is what I'm seeing. So lots of switches and activations happening for many people when it comes to remembrance and realizing, a lot of us have built up an identity based off of our traumas, our childhood, society around us. So this is, this is a big message of bringing awareness and not bringing it or not being able to cross through the thresholds with holding on to this. Okay, you guys, so hopefully that made sense. But that's what I really get with the door with no door, the doorway with no door. All right, so let's see what else is coming out. I am seeing a spiral, but it's collapsing inwards. So what I really see from this spiral, it's quite big. It's taking up a majority of the crystal ball, but this is in a compression phase from what I get. And also that's that timeline splits as well. And it's not, again, not a physical destruction here, but it's like a divergence here. So we have, again, the human collectives are forming different levels of awareness. So you're going to see a lot more splits, noticeable splits over the next few years as well. And a lot of this too does have to do with your inner work, your inner choices, and where you choose to invest your energy. I will say this, those of you that are curious of where you guys stand within this energetic split, again, look how your reality, look how are you reacting with or interacting with your reality as well, okay? Because you're going to notice faster manifestations, you're going to notice increased synchronicities, you're going to have a spontaneous clarity is what I'm seeing. Also a lot of like just impressions, just deep, let's say impressions of knowing. There's just this sense of knowingness, emotional purges. Maybe you guys are crying, maybe you guys are feeling physical symptoms. These are actual, ways you can look at this to see whereabouts you are. So this is really cool, you guys. It's, again, from how I can explain it and how I'm seeing it here is like two mirrored planes of reality, but it's almost like they're ice-like patterns, but they're reflecting light differently. And in that aspect, they interact different with the field. So when we're looking at... Okay, let's start with like mirror one. Okay, mirror one, we have that self that has crossed over into this reality. And this is the version that has stepped into this new frequency that is, really embodying that intuition, our gifts without suppression. Again, it's not that we're obtaining these, we are just remembering that, hey, we already have all of this. So I think that's a big message too, because so many of us think that we're getting, and even for me, I feel like I have to watch with certain ways that I project the words too, because a lot of us think like we're getting like all this intuitive knowledge and downloads, and we're not receiving it. We're just remembering. We're stripping away, again, the layers of us that are not truly us. It's like peeling back the layer of that onion, okay? So we have this sovereign self, that Lyran energy on mirror one aspect, right? On the other reality, we have the self that is like discharging. It's more denser, it's more chaotic, and that's that remnants of the old emotional states that are deconstructing. And the collective shadow of fears and old behaviors in that nervous system here. So it's not that that's negative, it's just a layer of, from what I can see, like compression, kind of like the symbolism of, or talking about like water, right? We have water and we have ice. They're not two different things, it's just different states. It's with that like compression. So hopefully that example helps you out as well with what I'm trying to explain, but that's what I get with these two mirrored realities here. But there's also the whole topic of fusion that is also coming up through the crystal ball. So what I can say, how we can incorporate and bring this message together, is what I can share you guys is it's not that there's two separate potentials. There's actually like, it's a transition point and we're no longer choosing between realities. This is one moving on to the next, but the split, it's not actually about duality here. What I can see is it's the integration with the dissolving of the lower. So again, it's that it's not a fork in the road, you guys, that would be incorrect. It is the ascending spiral here. It is the fusion of the light and the dark, okay? And that seems to be integrating into the dual mirrored imagery that I'm seeing here. So there's another important message coming out too, because many people think right now that they're stuck. And I can confirm this with some of my sessions and messages and emails that are coming in. Many people feel very confused right now, very stuck. They don't know to go left, to go right, like they're stuck. And what I'm seeing is, you guys, you're not stuck. There's actually that splitting. So what I can share is, there's that awareness of almost those two timelines at once, if that makes sense. And that could represent that disorientation, it's overwhelmingness, it's confusion, because the new self here has already been born and the old self is dying, but the nervous system of letting go of those outdated versions of who they think they must be also needs to fully fall off. So it's like that in-between state. And I will say, since it is not fully stabilized, there's that weeble wobble, okay? And that seems to be something that's still happening right now, because there's still a very prominent image of two very distinct timelines, okay? Now, I am getting a very distinct energy from now into March, and March was a very key highlighted date from me in the past that I was receiving through my meditations. And I guess what I can say, I'm sure you guys have heard this statement before, but I have to say it again. It's really about acting as that version of yourself that, already exists beyond the struggles, okay? So even if things feel a little uncomfortable or a little unnatural right now, the ego's most likely gonna panic, and that's, sometimes the body's kind of that's lagging behind. But this new timeline is based off your behavior. So it's really embodying that behavior of that new identity, okay? So from now into March, I feel like a lot of people are going to see massive transitions, from potentially switching jobs to, ending relationships, getting into new relationships, sudden moves, unplanned breakthroughs, okay? Very big over the next few months. But how I want to conclude this for you guys is, within these next few months, things will begin to stabilize. So that weeble wobble that I was talking about, the identity shifts, the spiritual gifts, all of this that is coming online, it's going to start to catalyze catalyze. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. Crystallize. That was the word I was looking for. Sorry. All of this is going to crystallize more by that early spring of 2026. Okay, so you guys are going to start to feel more like yourselves and not so in between in the very near future, from what I can see from the perspective in the crystal ball. All right, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let's take a final card for today and see what final messages are coming out from our Lyran energies. What final messages do you have, Spirit? All right. So we have the moon, which, okay, the moon, and on the back is the mirror. And I kept saying that mirror reality. This is self-reflection, writer, and the big picture. And the other one is the moon, which is all about the hidden gem and your secret power as well. It says, what if your what if your strangeness is actually your brilliance? Okay. So a lot of interesting energies happening during these times, but really tune into your uniqueness. Okay, that's what I can really say, and work on that self-reflection within. All right, so I love you guys so very much. Thank you for joining me for another crystal ball and tarot reading. Please let me know if you guys have questions, comments, topics you want me to look into. But until next time, bye for now, lovely souls.